your most valuable asset is patience. It's all a mental game. Like the patience, man. I tell my clients, say, you either gonna be patient on the front end or you gonna be patient on the back end. And you don't want to be patient on the back end because it's gonna eat away at you. So either you sit here and wait, get in and get out, or you get in early and then you wait.
Empower You podcast is devoted to bringing real-world wisdom and encouragement to our listeners, fans, subscribers, and friends. We talk about a multitude of life principles and the process from an economic, societal, and cultural perspective. We believe that in tough conversations and shared wisdom, we can pave the path and leave a ladder for the future. So subscribe to our channel, rate, review, and let us empower you. Welcome to Empower You podcast. I'm so excited that you are here. My name is Kidboy Cooper. I'm the host and creator of Empower You podcast. If you are not familiar with Empower You podcast, the entire intent for Empower You podcast is to leave a ladder for the future, which means all of the things that, I did not know and that many of my guests did not know. We are doing our best to break down complex topics and make sure that they're super applicable and easy to access for you. Okay, so that's what we're doing here on Empower You podcast. This is, I want to say, our 105th episode. So we've got a lot of stuff. If you have not checked out Empower You podcast, go ahead and go back through our catalog and start looking at some of the work that we've done. And I'm sure there will be a lot of incredible things for you to find. So today we are 2 episodes into our Empowered Investment series, right? There's a lot of talk right now about investments, right? How to invest your money, how to do life insurance, how to work with the stock market, drop shipping. There's so many different things. But I think if we really want to talk about investment, the first type of investment has to come with an understanding, right? The mindset, because your life produces things, right? Whether it's money, problems, children, issues, like it produces things, but those things come from an understanding. So what we're going to be talking about today is defining investments. And I have a really incredible gentleman on here with us today. He's absolutely fantastic. I really cannot wait for you guys to meet him. His name is Jamuary Norris. He is an author, a speaker, a stock market investment coach, a graduate of Jackson State. Absolutely brilliant brother. I'm telling you, man. He's an actor. He's I believe he's vegan. He does all these workout videos. He's just super dynamic, and I'm so excited that we got him. He's able to be here with us and to share some insight on defining investment. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring him up. Bro, how you doing? What's up?
Man, you laid out a heck of a resume, man. So just to clarify, because I don't want the vegan community coming after me, you know what I'm saying? So I was vegan 2.5 years. Yeah. I am mostly plant-based, You know what I'm saying? But so I keep it healthy.
That's
for
dope.
The most part.
That's dope. Well, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate it. It's you live a very disciplined life, bro. And I think that is one of the things that I think is really valuable, because discipline, standards, protocols, all those things are gifts. We often look at them as restrictions, but your discipline gives you the bandwidth to do really incredible things. And if you don't have discipline, you just start to have less and less bandwidth to do the things that are super necessary. And I just have watched the way that you conduct yourself and obviously our interactions, and you just are very disciplined in your approach to life, which makes sense why you can do so many things and really reach people the way that you do and speak. And so I'm just appreciative that you're here, man.
Man, no doubt, man. Look, I appreciate that, man. And I don't, as far as the discipline, man, and a lot of people say that about me. I used to think that was like just something that everybody had, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, man, I want to accomplish my goals more than I want to stay in the same spot, so it's just like, I just want it, man. You know what I'm saying? Whatever I set out to do is like, what's the point of going after it if you ain't gonna make it happen?
That's right. There's so much sacrifice involved in just life in general. You might as well get what you want out of it,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ain't no sense living this life halfway. You know what I'm saying? Let's go get it.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't accomplish it, you know what I'm saying? It's like not trying is like the worst mistake you can make.
Oof. That's a good one. Not trying is the worst mistake you can make, man. Yeah. So listen, tell us a little bit about you, man. Tell us about Jamuary. Tell us about a little bit about your background and what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So originally from Lansing, Michigan, came down to Jackson, Mississippi to attend Jackson State. Once I got down here is where I kind of developed my passion or I guess the curiosity for financial literacy, because everything I do now is just based around that. Grew up poor, but you don't know you poor until you get older. And then you realize that, those surf sandwiches and mayonnaise sandwiches wasn't a delicacy, right? You start to see some things through a different lens when you step out and become an adult. So, graduated and did my stint with corporate America, but that passion, that entrepreneurial drive was always in me. I just needed to find, that passion to put that energy behind, and financial literacy became that, because I was just trying to figure out, like, what is the difference between those who have and those who don't have? And the difference is financial empowerment, and financial empowerment derives from financial literacy, because if you don't know, you can't grow. So I made it my point to just like study everything I could as it relates to, wealthy people, and just, what makes them tick, not necessarily the things that they possess, but their habits, their mindset, their character, the things that they read, and the people that they hang around. And once I kind of, realized some things that, they were doing different opposed to what I was doing different, then I just started to adopt that. And it just became such of a lifestyle that I just really wanted to teach people. So I started speaking and going into high schools and colleges and just really trying to help them, make that transition into adulthood without making the same financial mistakes that a lot of us made and our parents made. And that just became the whole deal, man. And then, got into, investing, and then, turned this thing from speaking to author to coaching. And then it's just kind of just taken off, man. So it's been a great journey, man. And I'm still learning, I'm still living, I'm still growing, and I'm loving every minute of it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I feel like you do such a wide range of things, man. Like, so showing up in front of audiences is not as easy as it sounds. I know a lot of people want to be in the motivational speaking space, right? But it's not as easy as it sounds, and you really do have to come with a message and with a purpose. I think sometimes we forget that the highest purpose is that of serving others, and I think we often get really obsessed with this idea of being in the limelight, when it sounds like, based off of what you've said, that you're ever growing so that you can serve more, so that you can do more, so that you can bring more into your public speaking, into writing books, and into coaching others, and so I'm interested to hear, where do you feel like you got that attitude from?
Well, I think the foundation of it definitely comes from my mom. My mom was one of 9 children. She was the first to graduate from college, first to get a good job with the state of Michigan. So kind of the first to just do a lot of things. The first to get a driver's license, So she was the shortest one out of the family, but the one to do, kind of set the trend. So that kind of like stuck with me. So even at a young age, I've always kind of been a go-getter. I remember like getting the go-getter award in high school, right? And just always just had a drive to just want to accomplish more, and I think just because, I wasn't really into sports. I wasn't the most academically inclined, so I just kind of had to find a way for me to stand out for myself and just kind of having that drive to accomplish things. The goals that I set is just something that just really stood out to me, that kind of set my own lane and my own niche. So I would definitely, like I said, attribute that to my mother. But as I grew up, it was just like, I want the most out of this life that I can possibly get, man. Like, I'm not about playing small. I'm not about, just living the status quo. Not to say that I'm not thankful for everything that I have, because I'm very appreciative. But I just think that sometimes we kind of go into that coast mode and just like let, just accept what life has given us. And it's just so much more. And it's not that you're being greedy. It's just that, man, if this is what's on the plate, if this is what I have to experience, why not do that? Like, I don't want to look at other people's lives and be like, man, that looks great. Like, nah, okay. Like, I'm gonna look at their life and like, okay, well, let me see how they did that, because I want to experience that too. And I can. That's the beautiful thing, is like, we ain't reinventing the wheel. If it's been done before, you can do it. You know what I mean? So, like, just go after it, you know what I'm saying? And put in the work and put in the grind. But like I said, a lot of people just don't want to. But I'm intrigued by the challenge of just new opportunities and just new adventures in life. Yeah. So like, my path that I've taken is definitely not one that is traditional.
Yeah.
Because I have a higher risk tolerance, if you will, than most people. So it allows me to be like, oh yeah, I can do that. We can do that.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to put in that work and make the sacrifices if necessary. Because to me, it's not even the sacrifices. I think like sacrifice becomes like a dirty word. To me, it's just the process. And the sacrifice is what's building discipline and also a learning opportunity in the whole midst of the journey.
Yeah.
So, man, I just love it. You know what I'm saying? I just love learning and growing, first and foremost.
Man, you said we're not reinventing the wheel. I love that you said that, because I think for some of us I'll also speak for myself. I feel like for me, I often feel like I'm trying to create something that is absolutely brand new, based off of where I come from and the obstacles and or challenges that were had growing up. I often feel like it's like, bro, like, that's why you can't find examples of what you're trying to be sometimes, because you're doing something different. So do you ever feel like that?
Well, absolutely. I think that when I say that, we're not reinventing the wheel, it's nothing new under the sun. It may be new to your family or your circle or your community, but it's not new. It's just kind of like when we talk about, Barack being the first black president. There's always been a president.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he was just the first one of African American descent to do so. So now it's like, oh, it's possible. So sometimes, yes, I do feel like, I'm stepping into an area where you may not see someone that is taking his health as serious as I do.
Yeah.
And then also that values finances or financial literacy as much as I do. So I think that's new in a sense, but the health information, anything that I share as far as health wise, as far as, taking care of your body, it's not new. Financially, nothing that I talk about is new. What is new is my authentic self presenting this information, which is new to everybody else, because we never seen a Kibwe do what you do. You never seen a Jamuary do what he do. So it's like, they ain't following the status quo. So let me check them out and see, you know what I'm saying, what they got to say because it's always somebody waiting for you to accomplish what you need to accomplish so you can influence the next person. It's always that one person because it's so many individuals that we can follow when it comes to financial literacy and stocks and investing and stuff like that. There's plenty of people you can research and follow, but it's like, I know that there's one person that's waiting on me to step out there and be like, oh, so that's what that is. My man's doing it. Like, I need to holler at him. You know what I'm saying? This and get that information because, either just the vibe is right, or maybe I just come from that same background as that individual. You just never know. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's just so important that no matter what you do, it's nothing new, but as long as you present yourself in true authenticity, then you can't go wrong, man.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Man. So, this kind of segues.
Feel like snapping my fingers a little bit.
Yeah, man.
We got
good.
The music, got the vibe going. You know what I mean?
That was great. I'm gonna definitely be playing that back because I think one of our challenges, I think one of the challenges for young people, right? But then for various folks who are listening, when you're trying to endeavor to do something different, you really feel like the odd person out. And a lot of times we avoid that uncomfortable space because it's very lonely or triggering or in some way debilitating, this idea that you're not following the mold, this idea that you're cut off from everything else that's familiar to you. But that's because you don't see the other side of it. And so when you're talking about, your path is meant to lead you to specific people, it's not going to lead you nowhere. And I think that's what we fear. It's just like, oh, well, I'll just be off on some island and never, be connected to family and people who I care about anymore. But if I'm understanding you right, that's not what's going to happen. You're actually being led to a different group of people who are absolutely in need of what you provide and who you need what they have as well. And so that separation, has to be intentional. It's an investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's certain people, so like you said, it's certain people that are, like you said, waiting for you to quote unquote fulfill your destiny, to walk in your authentic purpose so that you can influence them. But there's some people that don't even know right now that they need what you have. So it's going to take, so those same people that may look at you like the oddball because you're pursuing something that's different and you're not following the status quo, after a while, they're going to be like, you know what? I probably need to, listen to what my man's is saying, because just because it's different or just because there's a different perspective or a different point of view doesn't make it wrong, right? And when you stay inside of your bubble or your comfort zone, then you stagnate yourself. I think the best thing that you can do is learn from others who have a difference of opinion or just a different way of seeing things. And that's why we have different ethnicities, cultures, and things of that nature. Because once you tap into that, you just unleash the opportunities for yourself.
Oof.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You tap into a whole nother world.
That's big. That's big. I think there's a lot of there's an initial leap that you have to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
To get started with a lot of things. And I think that's what I want to really talk about in this idea of having empowered investments, is that we understand that we have to take that initial leap. What that looks like, maybe on a familial level, what that looks like in your friend group, what that looks like in your finances, what that looks like in your education. Like, how do we define what are great investments? How do we define what our investments currently are? And how do we position ourselves to get the life that we want of authenticity, like you said, doing a new thing as an authentic you, that's a powerful combination. And I think there are some steps in between there that you have to take. And I think, at least the way that I view all of that, is these are steadily increasing investments. And so I wonder, how old were you when you realized you needed to start making those kinds of investments, both in your friends group and, maybe in your finances and your education? When did you start to realize, like, okay, this is what I need to do? When did you start to put those dots together?
I think when I left for college, especially when it comes to people and, the circle that you hang around, that's when it became very, very clear to me, because my thing was, I'm pretty much going all the way across the country, well, north to south, from Michigan to the highest state up north to the lowest state down in the south. So going to Jackson State, like I said, I was no academician, but the individuals that I hung around made a huge difference, because even though we like to party and whatnot, they had a focus like, yo, at the end of the day, we here to get an education. So I hung around some cats where we would have GPA contests, and you're like, yo, what you get first term, what you get first semester. And I remember vividly. So it was me, my man Corey, Benny, and Crane. So I had like a first semester I had like a 3.5. My man Benny, he was just like naturally smart. He had like a 3.8. My man Crank had like a 3.4, and then my man Corey, he got a 3.1, and Corey was pissed. And I was like, bro, what you mad? You got the, and me and Corey came down there together. We came down from Michigan together. We went to junior high and high school together. And he was like, bro, I got to step my game up. And then that's when it kind of clicked. I'm like, yo, this is bigger than just GPAs. Like, this is like something that you need to embody for the rest of your life. Like, whatever you're trying to do, you need to have the right individuals around you. So even as I've kind of stepped away from the status quo, more so just kind of being an entrepreneur and financial literacy and health and things of that nature, I never tried to purposely fit in per se, because I knew that being my authentic self, the individuals that I needed to be around, I would attract. And the individuals that needed to depart from me will eventually leave. And that's how I've never had to, because I don't think that you necessarily, when it comes to making that choice to just like invest in the right things, you don't have to put people in certain places. You ain't got to chuck the deuces to nobody. You ain't got to be like, okay, now you finna be my friend. No, if you cause I'm big on energy, like the energy will surface, and the right people will be right in front of you, and the wrong people will repel themselves, because naturally it's just like anything that you do in life. You know what I'm saying? If you're going toward a certain direction, and it's kind of like the quote with the that you've probably seen on social media, that if a pigeon is on an eagle's back, and as it starts to soar higher, eventually the pigeon is going to lose breath because he can't fly that high, right? So he's going to eventually fall off. You ain't got to do nothing. You just got to keep going in your direction, and eventually you will end up in the circle that you need to be around.
Thank you for listening to Empower You Podcast. I just wanted to take a second and tell you about a brand new podcast on the Creative Podcast Network. The Guru Guide to Podcasting podcast is for coaches, consultants, service-based businesses that are looking to beat the social media algorithms, create more revenue in their business, and an audience of their ideal clients so that they can have more valuable conversations, impact more businesses, more clients, and ultimately create more income and more freedom in their business. So if that's you and you're looking to build an audience of your ideal clients, you're looking to take back your time in your business, in your life, and generate more income while doing it. You can start your very own profitable business podcast, and we'll show you exactly how to do it. So click the link and visit the Guru Guide to Podcasting podcast, and we'll talk to you when you get there. Okay, back to the episode.
So
that's good. That's good. That's good, because I think we have, okay, I keep saying we, for all of y'all who are listening, you know, obviously these are my opinions, but this is just based off of my life experience and some of the things that I've encountered. And what I think I can often do is be very absolutist. I feel like I gotta, you know, put the gavel down on something in order to make something else happen. And the way that you're expressing this is, you don't necessarily have to do that. You just have to be intentional about seeking the things that you see for yourself in the future. And naturally, your decisions are going to start to change. Your behaviors are going to start to change, which means certain people are not going to want, or they just won't find themselves interested in the things that you're interested in, you know. Absolutely. Which is a much less, which requires a lot less friction to do successfully.
Yeah, it's a lot less stressful. Yeah. It's a lot less stressful, man, because even the people that I don't necessarily are not as tight as I once was, you know, with, they still be like, man, I see what you're doing, man. Congratulations. Like, you're doing big things. They may not, you know, understand it or have the same mindset, but they like, the one thing that they do know is that, yo, Jamuary is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, because he made sure that, like, I'm doing this. Like, I have to. That's like, and it came later on, to answer your question is like, when did the shift take place? I would say that it really shifted in my early 30s. It just shifted. Like, it took a while, right? Because you know, when you're young, you know, I think college is like the best time of my life, because I'm old enough where I can do what I want to do, but I'm not old enough where I got real financial responsibility. You know what I mean? So it's like the best of both worlds. Like, I can go out and stay as late as I want, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't really got to pay no bills. I ain't got no kids, ain't got no wife. It's like, yo, this is the life. It's the in-between stage. But when it came to, like, in my 20s, because I was just chasing as big as a salary as I could get with my degree. Yeah. That's what it was about. When I graduated, I'm like, yo, how much money can I get for this? This job, build my resume. How much money can I get for this? But what I realized is that even with the chasing money thing, I was never doing what I was passionate about. You know what I'm saying? I was never doing what I was passionate. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, because
people got bills.
We end up making, you got bills. You have to do what you have to do. You can't do what you want to do, because you've kind of put yourself in this system, in this mold. Go to high school, go to college, you know, get a degree, get a job, get a house, get married, get the kids. You know what I'm saying? It's like this trajectory of what we call success. And you can still have all those things and be successful. But I think the true success is when you really are doing what you're passionate about and living in your purpose, and still be able to acquire those things. So once I kind of got off that train and was like, you know what? I'm done chasing money. I'm done chasing it. Because I knew that if I lived in my true authentic self and lived and pursued my passion, and my passion had purpose to where I can influence other individuals, the money will come. So I wasn't, you know, so.
Bro, that's so good.
You know.
That's so good, man. Because I think that's one of the things that we gotta understand. At least for me, that's one of the things that I seek to understand more and more as I get older is, you know, what really does success look like for you? You know, and what are you willing to do or be in order to achieve that success. Now,
Correct.
depending on the answer to the first question, what does success look like for you? That's going to totally change your answer for the second question.
Absolutely.
You know, and so you said being your authentic self and doing what you're truly passionate about, and being able to, you know, have that house or get that salary or marry that partner and have that family, whatever that looks like for you, you can still achieve all of those things while being your authentic self. But you have to make the investment, the mental, emotional investment to pursue it with that authenticity, which I think that's so good, because I don't, at least for me growing up, you know, again, I'll bring my statements back towards myself. That wasn't the focus. You know, you were supposed to serve God. You were supposed to go to church. You were supposed to get a job and take care of yourself. That's kind of where the list ended. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, because those were the basic, the core needs. And please know, you know, to any of my family or anybody else who may be raised that same way, I'm not knocking any of that. But I am saying that here in 2022, I don't think some of those truths hold the same values, right? Because we have to define what that success looks like. And so when you said that, I was like, oh man, that's good. That makes so much sense. And I think that's, for me at least, that's what I want. I don't want to just do what anybody else wants me to do. I want to do what I'm passionate about doing and still, you know, attain all of the natural things in this life that I want and that I really enjoy.
Man, because my biggest thing is freedom. So I say freedom, and a lot of people say, well, you're talking about financial freedom? Not necessarily. I'm talking about time freedom. Time is the most valuable asset that you have. You can get money, you can replace money, but you can't replace time. So when I look at my daughter, my marriage, it's like, if I can make less money if I know that I'm going to be able to spend more time with my daughter and my wife and my family. Like, my thing is, like, I don't want to miss nothing, right?
That's big.
Like, because I have a huge extended family, and most of them are still back in Lansing, Michigan. Like, when they have birthday parties, open houses, stuff like that, like, I want to be there. Like, I want to be able to get on a flight and go up there, like, and that may be minor, but it's like, yo, you don't get that back.
Yeah, bro.
Like, no amount of salary, none, like, you can't get that back. So even with me taking the leap in becoming a full-time investor, you know, it was like, I knew it was going to be some sacrifices in that, and I knew there was going to be some growing pains and stuff. But at the same token, it was like, yo, what would you rather have? You know, would you rather have this prestigious resume and corporate career, or would you rather drop your daughter off at school every morning? Come on, bruh.
Yeah, man.
That 10-minute ride is priceless. It's priceless. And I think, you know, the sooner you can realize that, you know, what is most valuable to you, the sooner you can start really, you know, walking in your authentic self and doing what, and once you realize what's valuable, then you start to, you know, you can kind of compartmentalize or sort out these things that you're, how can I put it? It defines your goals for you a lot clearer. So therefore, you not putting forth effort and action towards things that are not going to matter to you as far as your values are concerned.
Yeah.
So everything that I do is for that time, man.
That's so good. That's so good. I want you to repeat something for me, bro.
Yeah.
You said once you define what's important to you. Can you talk about that again?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you have to define what's important, because when you define what's important to you, then that is going to guide you as it relates to your goals, which is going to relate to your actions, your habits, which is ultimately going to define your character, right? Because you are what you do on a daily basis. That defines you. So, like, for instance, so I know that me spending time with my family is very, very important. Me cultivating, that daddy-daughter relationship with my daughter is very, very important. So it's like, what can I do? How can I put myself in a position to be able to do that? How can I put myself in a position that if me and my wife want to go to the movies at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday, how can I do that and still make sure that everything on the home front is good and still be able to follow my passion and my dreams?
Yeah.
Like, once you put that in place, it's just like, okay, well, I ain't trying to build my resume, or I ain't trying to, that's not the goal that I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to do what's going to make me fulfilled as it relates to my passion and my purpose and what I have to give the world. But at the same time, make sure I'm positioning that to where I can still spend time, with the family and things of that nature. So
That's so good, man. That is so good. Y'all, listen.
Like, we ain't even got to the investment.
Man, because I just want to take a second with that, because I think that is
let's do it.
We really have to understand that your priorities, whether you are conscious of them or not, they're shaping the people you hang out with, the environments that you work in, your life expectancy, the income that you have. It really is determined by the priorities that you have. Correct. And I don't think we talk enough about priorities. I think we're really big on talking about investments over liabilities, or let's get this done, or let's entrepreneur this or that, work, all these other things. But we really don't talk about what your priorities are. And I think a lot of times we have people, great folks, who are burning themselves out because they just haven't asked themselves what their priorities are. What are the things that you just absolutely can't live without? Once you get those things written down, now make your plan. Don't make your plan and then try to fit your priorities in there,
Correct.
And I think we don't spend very much time, at least I don't see it in my newsfeed. I don't hear much about establishing what your priorities are. I'm not saying don't build a business. I'm not saying don't do whatever it is. But what I am saying is do it with a conscious understanding of what your priorities are. And yours is being present with your family, being present with your daughter, which means no matter what you do in life, that's always going to be satisfied, which almost engineers automatic success, because you're always accomplishing your priorities, which means you can get up early in the morning and feel good. You can go to bed late at night and feel, because you still got that 10-minute ride. You still got to kick it with baby girl. Like, so,
absolutely.
I just think that's really, really interesting. And I think it's really insightful that you said that, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So even with, and just to kind of, add to that, so another one of my a major priority to me is my health. Mm-hmm. Right? Do I like going to the gym? It's cool, but it ain't my favorite thing to do. But this is why I do it, because I got a 6-year-old now, and I want to be able to roll around in the dirt without my knees hurting. I want to be able to, whatever she got going on, whether it's, traveling, activities, whatever it is that she's doing, I need to be physically able to do whatever it is. I never want her to be like, Daddy, can we do this? Nah, I can't do that because I got this going on and that. Like, I don't ever want to be in a position to not enjoy the time with her. Same thing with my wife. Like, I never want to be, and my wife is older than me, but I never want to be in the position to not be able to, travel with my wife, spend time with my wife, because I'm not physically able to do so. So that whole lifestyle change, and it's very rare, and I really speak about it because, when you talk to black folks and you tell them, you don't eat chicken or you don't eat pork or you don't eat red meat, they like I go to restaurants, I just, I just order, and then what you got? Oh, just, a little something over here, what I'm saying, not much.
You get uninvited to the cookout.
Yeah, it's like I'm not even finna have that conversation because it ain't even about that. It's about something bigger than just what's on my plate. Like, I'm trying to live and live my life to the fullest. And your health is a big part of that. So all of it derives to whatever I'm doing always circles back around to more time to the family. I'm not big on material things. I like nice things, but I don't have to have the latest car. I want a paid off car. I don't have to have the biggest house. I just want a safe, nice crib that's paid off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because all of that transpired into more time, more activities, more things that I can do with the family. More experiences, because I can buy my daughter everything in the world, but at the end of the day, it's the experience. Like, so my twin boys, so I got a blended family. My twin boys, been with them since they were 3 years old. Now they pretty much have gotten everything they wanted since, they were born. Like, as far as birthdays and things of that nature, their extended family and their biological parents, what have you. But when we took them to Mexico on a cruise, first time that they had been out of country, they still talk about that to this day. It was like, man, that was the best experience. Not the J's, not the PlayStation, none of that. They talk about that to this day. They was like, that was the best gift ever because we surprised them. And because you can't be an experience. You cannot be an experience, especially with people that you love and that care for you. You can't beat that.
That's right, bro.
You can't beat that.
That's right. What do you feel like some of the biggest misconceptions people have around the word and the idea of investment, right? For me, I always thought money. I'm like, well, if I don't have a whole bunch of money, I can't make no investments. Or if I don't have, a credit card, I can't make no investments. And I felt like that was a very limiting belief. So tell me about some of the biggest misconceptions you feel like exist around investments.
Absolutely. So some of the biggest misconceptions is that that's a rich man's game. I don't have the money, but that's a rich man. And my thought is, it's like, okay, if that's a rich man's game or a wealthy man's game, it's like, don't you want to be a part of that? Don't you want to, you know what I'm saying, get involved with that piece of the pie, if you will? Not to necessarily just to become wealthy, but just for the knowledge and the experience. Another misconception is that I'm gonna lose all my money. Like, I'm gonna put it in here and then it's gonna be gone tomorrow. No, that's not how investments work. Of course, with anything, there is a level of risk with anything. But the way that you mitigate that risk and minimize that risk is by attaining knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. Driving a car is risky for the very first time when you get your license, right? Mm-hmm. But as you practice and get the knowledge, then it's like you ain't even got to look at all the lights and the bells and the whistles. You just start that boy up and you out, right? So it just really depends, on your level of being willing to step out of your comfort zone. That's what it boils down to, because all the misconceptions, like you said, are first off limiting beliefs, and what it really boils down to is just fear. It's the fear of the unknown. But that happens and I don't want to take it to another direction, but that happens as we get older, because when a baby starts to walk and falls down, you don't say, "Oh, you're gonna hurt yourself. Don't try to walk again."
Right.
No, it falls down. You like, no, get up, keep trying. But when we become adults, it's just like the status quo just kind of sets in our psyche, and it's just like, I don't want to step out there like that, because what if? A baby ain't thinking about, what if I try to get up and walk and I fall down? It's like, no, everybody else is walking. I'm gonna need to learn this skill set for my survival. So I need to keep trying to walk, because I can't be on here on my hands and knees for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing when it comes to investing, like if people understood how valuable just having the knowledge of learning how to invest, the better their life would be.
Right.
Because, and not just for the sake of money, because like I said, money is just a tool, but money is the tool that allows you to do the things that you set forth as your priorities.
Good.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, good.
It's not the, you know what I'm saying? It's not the tool of the rich or the tool of the evil. No, it's just a tool. Money just amplifies who you already are. And money is just going to amplify your priorities and amplify your goals. So if your goal was to do this, now that I have another skill set where I can make money, now I'm just going to amplify me spending more time, having more experiences, traveling more. Because really, I mean, I'm simple. I told my wife, I said, look, the only thing I want to do is look at these charts, make this money and travel. I said, if I don't do another thing, if I could just travel and spend more time with y'all, because I'm all about the experience, man. You can't beat the experience. Yeah. You cannot.
Yeah. Wow, man. So what are some constructs around investments, right? So now it's like, all right, Jamaury, I get it. It takes time. I get it. There will be risk involved. How should I approach this? How do I start thinking about my priorities as investments? Like, walk us through what you might tell maybe a high schooler or somebody who's just coming out of college, or maybe someone who's starting over, right? They just got out of a marriage. Maybe they just got out of some relationship or some job. They experienced some shift during the pandemic. Now they're like, all right, I really have to figure a new path for myself. What do I do, Jamaury?
So let's figure out what your financial goals are. Like, so even if you're starting over, or even as a high school student, like where do you want to be financially, or more importantly, what do you want to do? Like I said, what's the priorities? What do you want to do in your lifetime? Because all investment is going to do is going to help you accomplish that a little bit further. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is, let's see what that looks like, and then let's come up with a financial goal. Because we gotta have a goal before we can write out the plan, right? And then once we have the plan, then it's like, now we have to be consistent in investing. So I tell people all the time, the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. So when it comes to investing, you have to be consistent. So I don't care if you're putting $50 a month in your brokerage account or your investment account, do that consistently until you can bump it up. All right. Don't think that you're just going to buy, or invest in a company one time and then that's it. That's not how this works. You have to continuously allow your money to work. So, and then just getting the right education as well. You gotta understand, what investment strategy is going to be best for you. So are you in a phase where you're younger and you're looking at more of a growth? Are you looking at more of, are you just trying to sustain what you have and just grow it a little bit? It really just depends, because the stock market is one game and a million ways to play it. You know what I mean? So getting with the right people to get educated and getting the knowledge, because the knowledge is going to supersede anything that you could potentially do financially, because that's where the most invaluable growth is in the knowledge.
Yeah, that's so good. So I wrote down priorities, goals, plan, consistency, education.
Absolutely.
Is that?
I like how you wrapped that up.
Well, I'm just thinking, man, because I think what happens is on social media, what happens is in this, hyper, reality that we all live in, is that we miss the good parts, man. There's so much stuff. And so
Correct.
One of the things that I really want to do on Empower You podcast, especially in this series, is start teaching us how to think about this stuff. Because the money that you make is a product of what you're investing into yourself, right? You can't make more money with the broke attitude, even if you had the best opportunity. Just like you said, that's people, I'm gonna lose money. Somebody just offered you a great opportunity, but the only thing you're thinking is, I'm gonna lose money. So now, what could be the difference between, making 40K a year and 75K a year, 100K a year, 150,000 or more? The only thing you're thinking is, well, that's how people lose money. It's like, the only reason you're working for the company you're working for is because someone took those risks and built that company that allows you to take care of your family.
Correct.
And so that's why I just was like, that's so important, man. I love how you're breaking this stuff down. I got a couple more questions and I'm gonna let you go, man. I feel like I just been asking everything, and
no, it's all good, man. We vibing, man. I'm feeling it.
Good. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now with social media, and there's a lot of financial talk, right? Financial talk about how much money you're gonna make online, financial talk about how much money you can make in the stock market, how much money, online education and stuff like that, drop shipping, all these things. And then there's this overarching theme of, assets over liabilities, which is a great slogan. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And I don't want to knock those guys or have anybody out here think, oh, you trying to take a shot? No, I'm just breaking stuff down, which is our job as people with platforms, as folks with knowledge. Our job is to serve the people who may not know as much or who may have a different understanding than we do. And you're the expert here. I know nothing about the stock market outside of the fact that I don't know much about the stock market. So, and I'm never going to be the dude who tries to, puff himself up to act like he knows something he don't know. That's just not my deal. Right. And so that's why I'm asking you, just like, what do you feel like the missing ideology behind all of these investment tools and education and all that is? What do you feel like the missing link is? Why people are so unsuccessful? Why the turnover rate is so high, right? Because it sounds good in a hashtag, but when you got to live that, it looks a lot different. So what do you feel like the missing piece is?
I think the missing piece is just being realistic with what's attainable. Now, granted, there are lots of ways to make money, and yes, you can make a lot of money in the stock market, but you can also lose just as much, right? So I think because we're in this, like you said, this hyper information age, and everything is a highlight reel on social media, that you want to get to the point where this person is at right now, right? And it's easy to kind of get caught into that. So the whole assets over liabilities is a great mindset shift, right? It's a great statement to just kind of get you thinking like, okay, yes, I need more assets than liabilities. But let's define what liabilities are for you. And let's make sure, because you may have a liability that you think is an asset. All right? You may have that. I give you one that's pretty much one that we all have, right? So cable television is a liability, right? But you tell some folks, like, dude, I can't live without my shows, bro. I got to have it. I got to be able to watch the finals. I need to be able to watch, you know what I'm saying, whatever your favorite show is, Housewives or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I got to have that. But you paying like $200 a month and you probably watch it once a week. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, where could that money be better used, right? So like, but then that goes back to the priorities. Like, what's more important? Like, I haven't had cable in like 10 years. Like, I was cutting cable before it was popular, before all the Hulu and all the stuff. Like, it's like, I ain't watching that, bro. Like, yes, I ain't had it. You know what I'm saying? So let's define what the liabilities are for you in your life. Yeah. Like, take a piece of paper and I define liabilities in my book. A liability is something that's taking money out of your pocket. All right. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. So even with the asset piece, the asset needs to be providing you a return on your investment. Because if it's not, then it's not an asset. Case in point, a rental property is a great asset. But if that rental property, you're breaking even or you're in the hole because you're putting money back into it every single month because you got repairs and things of that nature, then it's not an asset. I don't care if they on time paying rent every month, but if you're putting more money than you're getting out, that's not an asset. All right? So the return on investment has to be there. Or let's just say if you have a bunch of rental properties and they're making good money, but you pretty much sun up to sundown trying to manage all this stuff, how much of an asset is that? Because now you're taking away from your time, from yourself. You know what I'm saying? You working, like we say, you know, you working in your business, not on your business.
Yeah.
So, you know, your business could be an asset, but if it's depleting you, then it's really a liability.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not always about the financial aspect, but yeah, just making sure that, you know, you have well defined what your liabilities are in your life. Because sometimes people can be liabilities. You know what I mean? So how are you assessing that? So when I talk about assets over liabilities, it's like, look at your circle. Is your circle of influence, are they adding value or are they taking away from you? Sometimes you gotta step out or you gotta move some pieces around and replace that. But so I think it's a good start, but define what it is for you, because everybody's assets and liabilities are going to be defined differently, you know, depending on where you are in life.
Yeah. How long should somebody wait to determine? Let's do the rental property thing for example.
Yep.
Let's say, you know, they're just like, well, you know, once I'm able to do X, Y, or Z, then I can raise the rent. I am in the hole every month right now, but that's only because I'm still getting things together. Like I'm early in this thing, you know? And so, you know, when you're first starting things, it takes a lot of investment. It takes a lot of time. When do you acknowledge that, all right, bro, this is not working, or I need to reassess my approach, or like when does that need to happen?
That needs to happen immediately, right? You should be, now, of course, you can say, hey, I may take 6 months or a year and then kind of reassess the situation. But as soon as you see a kink in the armor, like, we need to address that right now. Because if you don't, then you'll go on thinking that, you know, this is okay the way that I'm doing things. And then now you look up and you either, you know, you're losing money or you're burnt out. So I think that from the very jump, even before you step into that arena of investing, get the education and start off small. Like, start off small. Like, you ain't gotta try to break the bank in the first whop. Like you're gonna learn from experience. Experience is always gonna be the best teacher. So you're gonna run into some life lessons, if you will. But just, you know, start small and then assess the situation from the very, very jump. You know what I mean? And correct those things as they come. That way you learn from it and you put yourself in a better position to be even more successful in the coming future. So yeah, don't wait to, have this, I guess, come to Jesus meeting, if you will, and then try to no, because if you got to get to that point, then something's been wrong for a long time. Like, see it and correct it. But sometimes people are just kind of not necessarily naive, but they're so excited to kind of be a business owner or an investor that they kind of get blindsided by the fact that they may not be doing this the best way.
Yeah.
And you just gotta assess it. And sometimes that hurts. Sometimes it could be pride. Sometimes it could be fear. But at the end of the day, like, you stepping out, it's a reason why that path is the road less traveled. There's a reason for it. It's a reason why 9 out of 10 businesses fail in the first year. All right. So it ain't the easiest path. So once you step out there, be prepared to be put on the spot, if you will. But you have to be humble enough to be like, you know what? I'm not doing this the most efficient way. Let me step back and let me gain some more knowledge. Let me go read a book. Let me go hire a coach. Let me go get the information so I can, do this a whole lot better.
Yeah. Let me slow down. That's real good, man. That's real good. Cause I think that's been my issue. I've had to reassess, just like, how are you trying to make this work? Are you trying to make this work like immediately, or are you willing to work this plan until success? Right? Which is going to take a different approach than just going full speed ahead. Like, sometimes, and Marquel says this, you got to slow down to speed up.
Correct.
Because, and it sounds kind of like that's what you're saying with some of the investment pieces. It's just like, just start with what you can actually manage and just slowly turn it up. Another thing Marquel said was, I'd rather get rich for sure than get rich quick. And I think that's sometimes, I feel like that's some of what you're saying when you say, you got to make realistic goals, and you have to abide by your priorities. If your priority is in the next 5 years to make, to be able to go full time like you did as a in the stock market, which is a huge accomplishment, man, that a lot of people do not get to see, but that's because you took a slow approach. That's because you took a level-headed approach to things. You know what I mean? Based off of your priorities, which is invaluable. Because I know I just went gung-ho, bro. I went all in, my man. When I tell you I went all in, I went all in. And now I'm learning, having survived a lot of my initial decisions, to be like, all right, what do I want here long term? It's like, well, this is what I want. And I got my priorities right. And it's like, okay, well then what does it matter how long it takes if you're able to occupy your priorities throughout the entire journey?
Yeah, you don't have to, and I know everybody with everything that we do, we want to be great at it, but it's a process. And like you said, what I'm saying? I want something that's going to be sustainable, not just a flash in the pan.
Yes.
So you have to be, like you said, kind of surviving some of those mistakes. You just have to be humble enough to be like, yo, this ain't working. I need to pivot. I need to do an audible. And that takes having those priorities and having those goals, so you can look back and be like, hold up, what's the goal here? Because even like with me, like I trade and I invest. If I lose a trade, generally it's because I didn't follow my plan. And I can look back and be like, you didn't wait for that confirmation, or you didn't wait for it to pass this level. You just got gung-ho and you jumped in, and you shouldn't have. And every time I go back, it's like, and I tell when it comes to trading, because trading and investing is two totally different things. But when it comes to trading, your most valuable asset is patience. It's all a mental game. Like, the patience The patience. I can teach you everything you need to know as far as investing, and especially investing, like I said, is different because you holding for the long term, so that's easy. But when it comes to trading, man, I tell my clients to say, you either gonna be patient on the front end or you gonna be patient on the back end. And you don't want to be patient on the back end because it's gonna eat away at you. So either you sit here and wait, get in and get out, or you get in early and then you wait and you sitting there looking like, man, I'm so ready to get up out this joint. And it's a psychological thing, man. Like investing is mostly mental as most things, but because it's not physical. I ain't lifting no,
You blowing me away right now.
doing nothing physical, right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at charts, trying to figure out what institutions and what other retail traders are thinking based on what I'm seeing in this chart, and when's the best time for me to get in and get out so I can get this money in my bank account and pay these bills.
Bro, this is so good. This is so good. He said the best tool for investing is patience. And that's with everything, man. That's with everything. And most of the decisions that I feel like I have not been proud of have to do with patience. You know, in my business, oh man, just patience. It's because you feel like you've been carrying the weight of not having for so long.
Oh yeah.
You feel so tired of not having that you lose sight of the greater picture. And so you forget that your goal is not to just have, but to be. And if you're always just reaching for the have, you'll never grab the being. Being already got it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no, definitely. I got a buddy, man, and he's a real estate investor, and he's doing like this quarterly challenge for himself, and so he's trying to make a certain amount of money within a quarter. So he hits the goal, and I'm like, bet. Now you can kind of sit back and relax a little bit, and just it's like, nah, it's still another 6 figures out there I gotta go get. I'm like, man, but you've accomplished the goal, because it's almost like you lied to yourself. You lied to yourself when you wrote down what the priority was, and then based on the priority, you set the goal and you set the plan. Now the goal is reached.
You're not even gonna give yourself a break.
And you're not giving yourself a break, because now it's like, well, man, that either it was too easy or maybe it came too quick, but that's irrelevant. If the goal is the goal and the finish line is the finish line, then relax. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is just not taking time for themselves. That's like so important. Like, you pour externally, because like you reaching your goal is not the process. It's not necessarily you pouring into yourself. Of course, you're gonna learn some stuff along the way, but that's external because the goal was external.
Yeah.
So you were trying to reach that external goal, but when are you gonna take time, like, for you? Like, and I've gotten to the point now, it's like, yo, me pouring into myself is priority, because there's no way that I can pour into my wife, pour into my family, pour into my daughter, pour into my sons if I'm depleted. That's why when you're on the airplane, they say, hey, put your mask on first, and then it's just the next person. But a lot of people don't, because it's constant, because you got to realize there's always going to be something else.
Yeah.
It's you have to set a limit to say, what's enough for me? What is enough? And it varies. It varies financially, socially, relationship status, whatever. What is your enough? Because you have to define that. If you don't define that, you will always be chasing. Because like I said, I can make as much money as I want to make in the stock market, but I haven't enough. I promise. I haven't, because I have to have it now. If I exceed that and I got, this mansion and 10 Lamborghinis hanging out the front, like that's cool, but I can easily just downgrade and be just as fine.
Yeah.
So you gotta have that cutoff. You have to.
Yeah.
Because you run yourself ragged.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good, man. This is so good. And it really highlights a lot of things that I feel like I'm learning now. I kind of wish I knew. I shouldn't say I wish, because it gives me so much perspective for the clients and the people who I serve. It's just like, let's start using what you have right now, and we can build you towards what you want. You can totally do like I did, was take big, huge steps, but I don't know if your pain tolerance is as high as mine.
Yes.
And there's probably easier ways to do exactly what I did, what I've done, and that's what I want to help my clients do. I don't want to take them necessarily the same route. I want you to know the same things, way easier process. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And that's why when you talk about patience, that is so critical, man. That is so good. That's like
essential.
$1 billion bar right there. The greatest asset to your investments is patience.
Yes, indeed.
That's huge, man. So listen, I could ask you so many more questions, but I want to get you a thought exercise, man. We'll get a thought exercise from you, and then we'll let you go. I may hit you up and ask you for a couple pieces of content, though.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Just because I want to hear your perspective.
Man, if we need to do this again, I'm all for it, man. I love, just like, and I've been on a lot of podcasts, and yours is more of a thought-provoking, which I love, because I can easily just come on here and spit the facts and figures, how to invest, give you the ABCs, 1, 2, 3. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to buy, because that's what most people want.
Yeah.
What brokerage account do I need? What stock do I need to buy? How much should I invest in? But it's like getting that mentality and getting your character and because all of that stuff is the foundation that is going to allow you to either fail or be successful in whatever you pursue in your passion. Yeah. So I love it, man. Yeah. The energy is definitely right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's right.
And it's it's the haves, because people think if I have that brokerage account, I'm gonna be like Jamuary. It's just like, no, if you have better patience and your priorities in line and you're actually pouring back into yourself, it don't matter what brokerage account you have at that point. But people don't want to hear that. They just want to jump to the haves. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've been that way too, and I've had to learn to be like, bro, what do you want for yourself long term? Because I've just wasted enough time. You know what I'm saying? And so that patience piece is so critical. So I appreciate you sharing, man. I am excited about this thought exercise. These are like my favorite parts of the show, just because our audience can immediately employ this. They can immediately go out, and as soon as they click the pod, they can get a little piece of paper, start writing some things down, start exercising their mind and the way that they perceive the world. And just doing enough of those. I mean, they got over 100 episodes. You do 100 thought exercises, you're not gonna tell me your life ain't gonna change. Your life is gonna change. If you complete 50, your life will change. And so I'm excited to hear one from you, man. So the floor is yours, bro.
Gotcha. So my biggest thing, one of my favorite quotes that I often say is, there's no growth in your comfort zone. So get comfortable with the thought of being uncomfortable. All right. Get comfortable with the thought of being uncomfortable. So I think one of the best things that you can do is set out to learn something new. It could be very minute, very small, but set out to learn something new. And I don't care if you're just introducing yourself to a new piece of fruit, a new vegetable. Some people say, okay, I don't eat that. Okay, have you ever tried it? Like step out that comfort zone, and try something new so you can expand your horizons. Because what happens is, once you step out of your comfort zone and you prove yourself wrong, then you open your mind to other possibilities that you could potentially have been shutting out all this time. All right. So because we come from a I guess a preset, and you kind of spoke on this in the beginning. We come from a preset formula, if you will, or structure, if you will, growing up. And that's just the way it is. You eat the same things, you go to the same places, you hang around the same people. That's just the way it is, right?
Comfort food.
Comfort, your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But once you step outside of that and start experiencing different things and just allowing yourself to be free to experience, it's like, man, you're gonna learn so much more. And you're going to learn so much more about yourself that it's like, okay, well, man, if I actually enjoyed that, or if I didn't know that, and that's helping me, like what else is there? So now you start to grow and develop beyond what you thought was your apex. You start to grow and develop beyond what you thought was your apex. So now goals start to change, priorities start to change, and now you start to walk and pursue that person who is really your authentic self and not who they told you to be.
Oh my goodness. That's so good. That's so good, man. You said try new things regularly. So and I think that's so true. It's like, once you realize, I did it, I didn't die, everything was fine. It's plants that seed. It's what else am I lying to myself about? Yeah, that would be just fine if I did it.
It can be something as simple as when you go to your favorite restaurant. Like, you know what? Because you probably gonna stick with the same stuff. Like, just try a different item on the menu. And you're like, you know what, man, that was actually pretty good. I never would have thought to try that. Experience something different. Like, don't just go, to the club, if you will. Go to a painting class. Go to a yoga hookup. Go, I went axe throwing one time for a corporate event. Never would have went axe throwing. But I was like, man, this is actually pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? So, and now, like I said, you just expand your knowledge, you expand your experience, you expand your circle. And then now, like I said, you start walking more into your authentic self, which you probably, thought was who you were, but you can't. We're constantly in the evolution process. You're constantly growing. Who you are today is not who you're going to be tomorrow, based on experience. So allow yourself, give yourself permission to experience that and grow. Now, this is not going to come without growing pains, if you will. Because in the process of you becoming your authentic self by trying something new, you're going to receive some backlash. You're going to receive some closed-minded viewpoints. But it doesn't matter, because as long as you are walking towards your authentic self, you win every time. You win every single time.
That's beautiful, man. Oh my goodness. There's so much in that, man. There's so much, because
there's a lot to unpack on that, man.
And it for me, I think it keeps going back to priorities. It's like, it doesn't matter what happens in between there. If being your authentic self and occupying your priorities is being accomplished, then it's okay for you to have permission for people to be upset with you. It's okay for you to have permission for people not to want to hang out with you no more. You know, because their priority, and you don't got to feel no kind of way to them. Their priority is just not yours. It don't mean they hate you or nothing like that. Even if they, you know, say some rude stuff. I mean, that's just their priority. That's good. Man, listen, y'all. This is Jamuary Norris. He's an investor. He's an author. He's a speaker. He's clearly brilliant. He's a stock trader and investor. How can people get a hold of you? Folks are just like, man, if anybody's going to teach me how to work in the stock market, it's going to be this calm, cool-headed brother right here. How do they get a hold of you? What are some of the things that you can provide for folks who will inevitably follow you after this podcast?
Absolutely. Man, so you can follow me on social media, Jamuary Norris on IG, Jamuary Norris on Facebook. You can go to my website, JamuaryNorris.com. You can get the book, Healthy Wealth 101. I think that's a great start, you know, just to kind of get your finances in place, from, budgeting to understanding assets and liabilities, to credit, to entrepreneurship, to investing. And then, of course, if you're ready to take that, that leap and jump into the investment world, you can work with me, workwithjnow.com. And we can get the ball rolling. But yeah, follow me on social media. I'm constantly passing out some good nuggets, you know what I'm saying? Some stock picks and what have you. You know what I'm saying? It's all for the free. And then, like I said, when you're ready to take that deep dive, you can get on a call with me and we can make that happen. But yep, JamuaryNorris.com, Jamuary Norris on all social media aspects.
Man, listen, y'all listen. If you all don't understand, I want y'all to take a moment and listen to this back a couple of times. There's just so many principles that you talked about in this hour and 20 minutes that we've been speaking, that are just absolutely life-changing. And I really hope that all of us who are listening to this don't allow it to fall on deaf ears, because someone is not going to get this type of insight and they're going to continue, in their comfort zone without getting any real results. So try something new every day, just like Jamuary said, and get comfortable being uncomfortable. Thank you so much, man. Truly appreciate you, brother. Let me know however I can help you. Is there anything else you want to say to us before we wrap up?
Man, it was just a pleasure. It was just a pleasure being on here, and I hope that, I gave the audience something that they can chew on and apply, and just to help them, become their authentic self.
Absolutely. Bro, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No doubt, man.
I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording, because that was amazing. For all of y'all who are listening, this episode obviously is going to be available everywhere, and I'll have clips available. Check out my brother Jay Norris. Get a hold of him, and we'll talk to you on another episode of Empower You Podcast. Peace.
Peace out.
Thanks for listening to Empower You Podcast. Don't forget to rate and review this episode, because we would love to hear your takeaways from this discussion. And it helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you'd like daily audio video clips from the podcast, you can find Empower You Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.